Alright, here's a video guide on the factoring review that I posted in Google Classroom. A lot of us talked about factoring yesterday and how to do, your basic factoring when your leading coefficient is 1, and then how to do factoring by grouping when your coefficient is greater than 1. And we're just going to see that again here today is in a video that we can always turn back to. So here's the example. They call it A equals 1 because A kind of represents our leading coefficient here, because generally when I say leading coefficient, the way we look at it is a quadratic. That's ax squared plus bx plus c. That's generally what our quadratics look like. And when I say leading coefficient, that's like a, and they're saying a equals 1, then we can follow these two steps, which is find the two numbers that multiply to give you c. So that's like adds 2 multiplies 2, that's the multiply part. And then find the adds part that gives you b. And we'll see an example like that. But that one, generally, many of us know how to do. Here, we have the special product. So when a doesn't equal 1, so it could be -1, it could be -2, it could be 4, it could be 5. There's so many different ones. It's just whenever a doesn't equal 1, and then we follow this factoring by grouping steps that we saw a little bit in that first review preview. Okay, now what they did in this problem was they said 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. They factored out a 2, and then it becomes, the a then becomes 1, and you can factor this much more easily. It's tougher when you're not able to always factor out that 2 and you're left with something, and we'll see that here in these last two examples. So the first one is that one where your leading coefficient is 1 or your a value is 1, and so we can just say, okay, I need two numbers that multiply to 7 that add up to being 8. And the two that do that would be a positive 7 and a positive 1. And so this could be b plus 7, b plus 1, and that would be your factored quadratic there. Okay, so not too bad whenever that leading coefficient is 1. I think we're going to be able to handle that. It's when we get tougher ones like this that we need to be careful with. Okay, so this is, and again, you can follow the steps on this slide, and I would say write these down in your notes and always have them with you. Okay, so we're finding the two numbers that multiply to give you c, the special product as they call it. Okay, and so that's really like taking your a value, which is 3, multiplied by your c value, which is 5. So we're looking for, it needs to multiply to be -15. They call it the special product. I just say multiplies to, adds to -2. So multiplying your first and your last term, getting you the -15, adding to your middle term the -2. Okay, the two numbers that will do this will be, I believe, a -5 and a +3. Okay, now what these are going to do is they're going to end up replacing the -2p here. Okay, and again, the steps read it a little bit different, but that's okay. I'm just showing you the steps I take going through it. So we have 3p squared, replacing the -2 with my -5 and my +3. So this is plus 3p minus 5p minus 5. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to group my first two terms and my last two terms. Looking at this first grouping, I can take out a 3p, and I'm left with p plus 1. In the second one, I can take out a -5, and I'm left with p plus 1, and that's what we're looking for. We are looking for these to be the same when we factor by grouping. Because when they are the same, we can perform this next step. We're going to combine the things on the outside, so 3p minus 5. And then the things, these ones that are the same, we just turn into 1, and this is then just p plus 1. And that is my final factored form there. Okay, we are going to do a lot of factoring in Chapter 1, and it's something that we need to have down. So please make sure that we have these notes down so you have something to rely on whenever you need to, again, factor by grouping.